My name's Sharon Hankins and I'm from the blog I Restore Stuff, where I upcycle furniture and home decor. And I also love to do sign making and stenciling, and today I've got some fun projects to you. Now, I found these at a thrift store. I've got some tape on them to show you where we're going to be stenciling today and having some fun with those. I stripped these back with some paint stripper, and then I sanded until it was raw finish, and then I used, I used the new Alchemy BioFusion paint range in the colour clay to create a wash, like a stain wash, and I've stained them in that colour, so it's got a nice oaky kind of colour stain. Now, because it's a chalk paint finish or a chalk type finish, it will be a little bit porous and it'll look a bit lighter than before you seal it. So once I seal it, it'll just deepen the rich tones in the wood. So I've taped these off, and for this one I've actually started, I hope that's in the shot, I've started painting on that, and I've used Alchemy BioFusion in the colour Alabaster, which is a nice, it's an off-white neutral, a really nice neutral colour with greyish tones, so I'd say grey, tanny tones. Now, who can guess, I might be using some things from this today. So we've got Lake Life at the top there, we've got some oars, and remember, I think Amanda may have showed this, that this oar here, you can use this as the background, and then this layers over the top of the oar to do your stripes. We've got a canoe and some lovely waves, so I'll be using that with my oars. Just placed the painter's tape right where I want it to be finishing. And what I did was I measured things like the sand, surf, sun. I thought, oh yeah, that will fit there, and I'll just sort of put a stripe off there. But we'll do some other fun things with these as well. Just painting along, but away from the painter's tape. You don't want to paint this way because you can risk that bleeding underneath the tape. So we don't want the paint to go under there and have fuzzy edges. We want nice smooth edges. So I just come across the tape after I've got a lot off the brush, and then just going around the edges. Now, we could do something completely different on the other side. You might have, one side could be a coastal theme and then one side could be a lake theme, or just plain. You wouldn't have to necessarily put any stencils on as it either, because the ends here, I don't know if you caught a sight of the ends of the oars, they are just this plastic, and it's really stuck on there, like it's super glued onto the end, and I didn't want to have to break it or do something weird with it, so I am actually going to paint the plastic. In fact, why don't I try to do that now, just to see, because this chalk style paint just sticks to everything, so I just wanted to have a little test. If it doesn't, we will use some Ultra Grip BioFusion, but I think the only thing is with doing it like this is, if I might just have to do one side for now, because the other side will have to, you know, be laying down on the table, and we don't want to get that. Oops. So I have to get this edge here to get that right around, but it'll just sort of tie it in. I just didn't want that yellow standing out like a sore thumb at the top of the, I've got it on the oar itself, but that's okay, just wipe that off. And yeah, that's going to work out great. So just a couple of coats on that, and I think will be a nice finish. This oar here would make a good stripe going across, but it's a thin stripe. But let's see if it fits the edge. It does. So we could make another little thin stripe here. It may be better for me to get a stencil brush, but I have paint on this brush already, and as long as I'm going lengthwise along the stripe, it should be okay. I have to go this way, holding it carefully, making a little stripe along that way. Ta-da! So there we can make a little stripe as we go using an oar stencil. which is a perfect width for this oar. Now I'm just going to guess on the width that I used. Doesn't really matter if it's slightly off, does it? Here, this is a 5/8 inch brush, and I'm going to use our offloading cardstock to really make sure we've got not too much on the brush. So we offload that a bit, and going in here. And we can come in from the painter's tape and do a nice little swirling motion. And we go with Fusion's Paisley. This is their mineral paint onto the wood. And then again, you can use your swirling motion or just sort of brush it inwards, kind of coming in from the edges of the painter's tape and then swirling on the inside. So this is the 7/8 inch brush. So taking off our stripes now, I may use the tape again just up the handle of the oar, whatever you would call this. And remember, when we do a sealer on this, it'll really deepen those colours and won't change them too much, but you'll definitely see it'll deepen the wood grain of that stained portion of the oar. One thing I did want to do, I thought these little waves at the bottom of here are so cute, and I'd love to add the waves down to the bottom of this, and then we can add words to the top. Either way, it looks like a fun idea, so I thought we'd go with it. Probably could have used a smaller brush for this, but since I already had paint on this one, we're just going to go with it. Just wriggle it in there. So here we've got our little waves on the bottom of the oar. Oh, what do you think of that? Cute? And then maybe I'll do the sand surf sun on this side. We've got coastal and lake theme going on here. Okay, so that just fits over that edge. This sand surf sun is from the Stencil, the 6-pack minis, beach it's called, and I've got a link for that right there in the comments. There's 6 different designs there in that pack. Hopefully I've got that in the right spot for you to have a look at. Made it crooked. Okay, we're ready. And just going with the swirling motion, because I've got hardly anything on the brush, it's not going to bleed under and cause fuzzy edges. It doesn't need them anymore. I'm not sure who or how they ended up in the thrift store, but I was grateful. There's a couple of edges here. It doesn't seem to be going right to the edge, and maybe that could be because of the big brush that I'm using. Let's have a little look. Oh no, that's fine. It'll be a nice rustic kind of look. So we've got Sand Surf Sun on this one. I've got little waves on that one. So we could have a whole different look for the different oars. I wanted to try lake life on this one, so let's do it. One here. One over here. And then using, this is a really dark midnight blue, so I feel like, you know, the Hamptons has the dark blue and white stripes sometimes. Let's have a look. Another 3/4 inch brush, and we will grab some paint on our brush, offload that onto the cardboard. Here we go. Nice. No one else is going to have oars quite like this. I don't know. It's just an idea. A top business tip for you right there. Look at that. That is stunning, the way that the navy blue, that midnight blue, has come out on the other things, and it kind of makes it stand out. I like it. I've got that upside down for you, but here is Lake Life. Let me get our Facebook so I can see that. So thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll have to come around the other side of the camera to turn it off. And I'll see you again next week for another DIY live. Bye.